Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, we always greatly appreciate you making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. If you've been following the channel this week, you know today's video is going to be a quick review of the first round of the NBA playoffs, and I'm also going to mention a few other news and notes in the world of the NBA and college basketball as well. So if you're a NBA fan or know someone who is, please feel free to tell them to watch the video and like, comment, share, and subscribe. We always greatly appreciate that as well. Coming up on tomorrow, we're going to get back into the world of college football. I've got another over-under quick preview I want to do for the 2021 football season, and this time it's going to be on the Florida Gators. I'm going to do them just because it seems like there's a lot of people who think Florida's going to be really good, and a lot of people who think they're going to be just terrible. So I'm just going to jump in tomorrow and give you my thoughts on the Florida Gators. That'll be coming up on tomorrow. And of course, next week we'll have another Braves weekly review and another NASCAR weekly review. And we'll do our top 10 countdown again on Wednesday. We'll find out on Wednesday what that's going to be about this week. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into my NBA quick review of the first round, because it's totally complete with the exception of the Clippers and the Mavericks, because the Clippers won last night, so there will be a game 7 in that series. It's the only first round that's going to go all 7 games, and I do think the Clippers will win, but I'm surprised that it's gone all 7 games. The Clippers are one of those teams that are supposed to be really good, but for some reason they always fizzle out in the playoffs. I think now it's mainly because Kawhi Leonard is having to do it all by himself. Now, if you follow the NBA, you know Kawhi with the Spurs and the Raptors, he always plays exceptionally good in the playoffs, but for whatever reason, Paul George always disappears in the playoffs. And of course, they've got Patrick Beverley, who I've never been high on. If they can't get anything from Paul George, the Clippers have no chance. But if Paul George can be anything close to what he is in the regular season, they've got a chance, especially now with the Lakers being out. But if you watched last week when I did my opening of the NBA playoffs, I picked the Denver Nuggets to win the whole thing, and I'm going to stick with that. They defeated the Blazers in 6 games, and I'm going to stick with them until they get put out. I know that their best player is out for the season, and Jamal Murray, I know he's out, but if they can continue to get Austin Rivers to score 7 or 8 points a game, and Aaron Gordon giving them 10, 11, 12 points a game, and then Campazzo has basically stepped in and become their starting point guard with him being out. And if those 3 guys combined can give them 25 to 30 points, which is about what he would give them if he was playing, I think they'll be fine, because we know Nikola Jokic is a double-double machine. He's going to give you at least 20 and 10 and usually close to 10 assists every single game. So I'm going to stick with them until they get put out. But I do know that the Bucks are going to be really tough. But like I said last week, I'm not picking the Nets, because James Harden's name should be James Harden, because there's no D in Harden. And I'll continue to say that until that man shows me that he can play defense on a consistent basis. I don't mean making one exceptional play on defense. I mean playing defense every time up the floor, and he just has never done that. And until he does, I'm not picking no team that James Harden plays for to win any kind of championship. I don't care who else is on the team. But outside of what's happening right now on the court, there's a few news and notes happening off the court. In case you have not heard, Danny Ainge has retired as basically the head honcho with the Boston Celtics. And now Brad Stevens, who was the head coach, is now going to take his place and become the general manager and all that kind of good stuff. So, of course, the Boston Celtics now have an opening with their head coach, but Brad Stevens is only 44 years old, so I'm kind of anxious to see, is he actually going to stick with this for the rest of his life, or will he do this for 3 or 4 years and realize how stressful it is and then go back to being a head coach, because 44 would be extremely young for him to call it a career if he does never coach again. But I've always been a big fan of Brad Stevens, but for some reason when he left college and come to the NBA, he's never did what I thought he would do. I thought he would win at least one championship with the Celtics, but they're not any better now than they were when he took over as their head coach a few years back. And we also have Duke basketball in the world of college basketball. Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski, or as I call him, Mike Krzyzewski, has announced his retirement, and former player Jon Scheyer, who is currently an assistant coach, is going to take over as head coach after the conclusion of the 2021 season. So Coach K is going to coach one more year. Of course, a lot of people were surprised by it. I wasn't, only because if you follow college basketball, you know over the years Mike Krzyzewski has had a few surgeries during the basketball season, whether it's on his arm, on his shoulder, whatever the case may be. But he never has those surgeries until Duke starts losing. And every time they go through a 4 or 5 game losing streak, he all of a sudden has to have some kind of emergency surgery. But then as soon as Duke starts playing again, he comes back. So being that they missed the tournament this past year and they were actually dreadful and it was the worst team Duke's had in many, many years, he don't like to lose, so I'm not surprised that he is now stepping away at the conclusion of the 2021-2022 basketball season, and Jon Scheyer will take over. And Terry Stotts was fired as the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and the main reason that happened was because Damian Lillard has always said and continues to say he has no desire to leave Portland. He wants to play there his whole career. He's always said he doesn't want to be involved in one of those super teams, and he wants to stay where he is. And firing Terry Stotts was just Portland's way of trying to keep him, because he says he wants Jason Kidd to be their next head coach. But the Boston Celtics are also supposedly going after Jason Kidd now that Brad Stevens takes Danny Ainge's place in the front office. I don't get the hoopla behind Jason Kidd. I never have. To me, he was an extremely overrated basketball player. And now I think he's an extremely overrated coach. He's already coached before, and he was absolutely dreadful. But for whatever reason, these NBA coaches get fired from place after place, and they suck everywhere they go. But yet, they keep getting hired over and over and over again. Just like former Portland coach Terry Stotts. That was, I think, the 4th different team he's coached, and he has sucked everywhere he's gone, but he keeps getting hired. Just like former head coach Mike D'Antoni, or some called him Mike D'Antoni. He's coached about 5 different teams and been terrible everywhere he goes, but he keeps getting the job. And just got fired after last year, New Orleans Pelicans coach Alvin Gentry. He's coached team after team after team, and everywhere he goes, he's terrible. But yet every time a job comes open, his name gets mentioned. I don't know why these NBA teams want to keep hiring these coaches that have already coached and they've already sucked. I don't know if they're just afraid to give somebody new a chance, or if they just want to hire a coach that has a name instead of going out and trying to find a coach that doesn't have a name, because there's too many coaches in the NBA that just continue to suck, but yet they continue to get a job. But since Damian Lillard wants to stay with the Blazers, more than likely Jason Kidd will be Portland's next head coach. But if he is, we'll have to see who the Boston Celtics end up hiring. And of course, a lot of people are mad about LeBron James walking off the court when they got destroyed in Game 5. He walked off the court with 2 or 3 minutes to go, and they were down by 30 points. Now, some people like LeBron James. Some people hate LeBron James. You know, you can feel however you want to feel about LeBron James. All I can tell you is that Michael Jordan would have never walked off the court down by 30 points with 2 minutes to go in the game. But then again, of course, when Michael Jordan played, he never lost by 30 points in the playoffs either. So you can take that and take it as I'm a LeBron lover or I'm a LeBron hater, because I'm neither one. I'm just stating the facts. But LeBron James did walk off the court in Game 5. They lost, I believe it was 115 to 85 or something like that. And he walked off the court and he said he was getting ready for Game 6. But of course, you know, when you're LeBron James, no matter what you do, you know, everybody is going to notice it and everybody is going to have thoughts on it, whether they're good or bad. Just like the NBA has been following supposedly all year long. They've been following all these different protocols. And if you recall, last year, Lou Williams got suspended, I believe, either for a game or for the whole entire first round of the playoffs for the Clippers because he got caught going to a party. And, you know, that was breaking protocol. Well, LeBron James broke protocol last week, and guess what happened? Nothing. So he does get preferential treatment, whether people want to admit it or not. He does. I mean, it's blatantly obvious that he does. And that is what makes the people that hate him, because he does clearly get treated differently. And if you look at things from a very, you know, non-objective perspective and just look at it, you can tell that he does get preferential treatment. But in most sports, if not all sports, you know, the superstars, like it or not, always get preferential treatment. But those are the things that make LeBron haters be LeBron haters. So I just wanted to bring that up. So if you're a NBA fan, give me your thoughts on that. And before we get out of here for the day, I just wanted to go ahead and say that a lot of people have been asking me where I keep all my dad jokes. And the answer is I keep all my dad jokes in my dad-a-base. Yes, not database, dad-a-base. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.